More or less the same because this morning I woke up that I had such a back pain,
Oh,
getting old as well. But besides that was all right, pretty quiet. I went to the beach, so good.
oh, that's fun. Getting some fresh air, going
Yep,
outside.
it's very
That's
hot here now.
yeah, getting close to summer there, huh?
Yeah, we have already 30 degrees, so
Wow. Here I'm
Did
getting the winter.
yep.
Bianca,
Which part?
did you notice? Oh, sorry.
I wanted to ask which part of Brazil is Bianca from?
I am from Brasilia, the capital.
So it's in the middle?
Yeah,
Ah,
exactly.
okay, so you're not on the coast.
No, I'm not.
Ah,
I
okay.
don't see the beach a lot,
Yep. Peculiar to meet a
unfortunately.
Brazilian that doesn't live on the beach.
Yeah, it would be nice,
You can move.
bro. I want to.
Aloysius, what did you want to say before?
Yeah, I wanted to know if you noticed anything new at the beach. I've been noticing as I age and as I observe environment because I notice fine details every season. I see new creatures and new plants that I hadn't seen before, and it's not that I hadn't actually like seen them before, but I'm finding newer things that were not in my ecosystem before.
Oh, I don't have a very good eye for that. For example, I just realized that I have a cherry tree in my garden. I found it out yesterday.
Oh.
So no, I haven't noticed anything different. No, not really. Same old.
Hi, Erin. Welcome.
Hello.
We're just doing a quick check-in of how was your weekend.
Perfect. Yeah, I had met Bianca in a call on another Discord talent Tao. So she recommended I come check this out for a little bit of context of who I am and why I'm here.
Yeah. So excited you came. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Welcome to the space. Yeah, so for today, I prepare a little agenda. I'm going to share my screen. So last week, I wrote down an update. It was supposed to be posted on the TEC forum. I don't know if it did or not. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this was the update. And then I shared with Anna and Juan, so they could also check. And so we were reflecting on this the past sessions. So naming this research implementing psychology in Web3 doesn't carry the intention that we have for this initiative. We understand that psychology is used in different fields by different people in our community, and it might bring an uncomfortable feeling to some people. Our intention is to bring a specific topic to talk about mental health, mental illness, self-care, community awareness, and things like that. We see psychological tools being used in different areas, especially around TEC. but we do want to have this field where we pay more attention to our surroundings, either online or in real life, and special to ourselves, and bring tools and resources that people will be able to get help from and feel safe if they need to talk to someone. So the name of this research is a topic that we still being decided. After gathering information around mental health, organizational psychology, remote work, burnout, sleep deprivation, and other topics, and also talked to some people from TEC and other DAOs who has been implementing psychological aspects in their work, and people who has interest in it, we suggested 3 steps for our survey goal. So first is, what does our community know about mental health? Second, what are the needs for our community about mental health or around mental health? And we want to have questions about burnout, sleep deprivation, work hours, personal time, stress, anxiety, depression. Third, how will our community accept help from psychologists? And the proposal is to eliminate the stigma about psychotherapy and help people with different fields around mental health. So not necessarily psychology, because we know there are a lot of different professional people that work with mental health that are not psychologists. And like Anna showed last call, our research is observational, and the characteristics are explanatory, qualitative, applied research, not experimental, transverse, inductive methods, and no variables are going to be controlled during this research application. And to better understand those terms, we can access here. So this is the form that she showed to us last week. So this is it. And the survey is being built, and our intention is to apply it next month. And we'll try to connect to Talent DAO to have their support as well. And I'm so happy I connect with them. And Erin's from Talent DAO. She's also interested in mental health, and she's from the psychology field too, psychology organizational. Correct if I'm wrong. And I'm super excited that she's here. And yeah, so maybe we can get some help from them. And with that, we got some ideas for the research name. So Durgada suggested social emotional wellness in Web3. Juan suggested these 2: observational research on Web3, mental health, and observational research on psychology and mental health. And I suggested this one, mental health awareness in Web3. What do you guys?
Can you throw a suggestion on from me?
Sorry?
Are you able to throw a name on for me? Like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that there was a place capturing this. I've been spinning around with the idea of neurodiversity wellness, because everybody is in a pocket of neurodiversity. All brains are different. It feels like acknowledging that all brains are different and creating wellness from that point.
Neurodiversity in Web3?
Yeah, Web3 is fine. I'm just thinking the container is opposed to psychology as neurodiversity wellness as like what we're looking at.
Neurodiversity wellness. But not Web3. Oh, you want Web3 on it.
I don't really care. That just seems like a flavor thing. But I have been stewing on the very literal like terminology of like instead of using psychology with all of its bars and language and thinking about that.
I don't know if it's your mic, but you're kind of like chopping for me. I don't know if it's just me.
I don't have very good service.
Oh, now I hear you very clearly.
Thank you, Bianca.
You're welcome. So that sounds good, neurodiversity wellness.
I like mental health and neurodiversity.
Mental health and neurodiversity.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, of all the choices up there, I like those two. I'm not saying I only like mine. I'm saying those are the ones that I like out of all the ones that were there, because you also asked, like, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I'm trying to also name it in a way that we can kind of like put it all together, but I don't want it to feel like I don't want it to feel like disrespect at any level. And I don't want anybody to feel hurt. Like if I put like I did before, like implementing psychology, Dorga does say that he used psychology in other fields, and then he kind of felt hurt about it. And that wasn't my intention. So then I was starting thinking about rename it, because I understand that like psychology is in a lot of different spaces.
I think the the main nugget here, and I think what the systemic part that's tugging at their goddess, and I could be wrong, I'll speak to him about it, but I think him and I have this in common, is acknowledging that there are many ways to care for the mind and the body. Capitalism and like Western culture has outsourced caring for human beings to psychology, like to the ends of like that's the place to go to get the care, to get your needs met. We know that there's tons of ways. So the capitalization of that thing is actually an inhibitor to people's health across the spectrum of the globe, because it's not all one modality works for everybody. But that's like the funnel towards care. And I think that's the English kind of nuance between the colonization and the practice, because psychology, when done well, is great. But I think it's the capitalization of the
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. That's my guess. It's my feels. My processing after 36 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. Um, I'm sorry, Erin. Does it feel does any of it make sense? I can it was like a lot. I don't know if it makes sense for you.
Yeah, definitely. I guess just one thought that's popping into my mind on this conversation right now. Do you think using the word neurodiversity would be confusing to people within the neurodiverse community?
How so? Because
Um,
they have a specific idea of what it is.
well, neurodiversity has often been kind of like pointing towards people with autism or ADHD or dyslexia or different conditions like that. And I could potentially see there being some confusion that this study is solely focused on the wellness of people who have those conditions, maybe within a Web3 context or broader, rather than like a more broad application of looking at mental wellness across the board for everyone.
Mm, yeah. I
Yeah,
guess in that aspect, I like the social emotional wellness piece and excluding the thing at all. Mm. Yeah, I think that culturally we have a failure to understand that neurodiversity is like all of the brains, all
Yeah.
brains, and we just have
Mhm.
this weird pathologizing thing where we do things. We're like, oh, disorders and bad stuff and blah blah blah, and everyone's like, oh God, no, I don't have that. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, everybody's brain is literally different. That's kind of what it means, and it isn't just autism and all these things, but that's what it's become because of biases and insecurity around mental
Mhm.
health. So weird. I want to be in a world where we can talk about like how we have feelings and how we have moods and how it's okay. I'd say it just baffles me that we're so far
exactly.
off from it, you know? Oh. Mm, I
Yeah,
really.
that's like how I feel that like naming it it's so important. So
But
like we see it and we're like, oh, okay. So I know what it talks about.
Mhm.
I like the idea of having a verb at the beginning, like meaning that you're doing an action with this. So as before, the original one was bring psychology into Web3, something like that. And
Brings
maybe expand mental health awareness in Web3, like with a verb at the beginning, like to express that there's an action behind this, just some sort of marketing idea.
mm,
Mental health awareness.
expand mental health in Web3. The other one said it's
No, you don't expand mental health. You expand mental health awareness.
oh
Well, expanding mental health would be great also.
yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like this.
Increase whatever verb you want to choose.
Increase. Is that how you say? No.
Yeah, also expand is with an A, if I'm not wrong. EXPA, yes.
And increase. I like this. How do you guys feel about it?
I like it.
Is that what the goal of this project is? To increase awareness or to assess the state of mental well-being?
Because we understand that there are already like some works around mental health being discussed. So we want to like have this survey. And these are also like some questions that we got from the Dow Health survey from Talent Dow.
Mhm.
That I think it makes sense for our research. To have like an idea. So after this research, we want to have an idea of these 3 points for the survey goal. So what does our community know about mental health? And what are the needs of our community? I think around mental health, it's a better word. And how will our community accept help from psychologists to eliminate the stigmas about psychotherapy? Because we also want to be able to bring more professionals to the space. So I would say the goal to the survey is to see like how our community feel about it and how can we help them improve their self-knowledge about what do they need to do for themselves to care about themselves.
So it's probably a double goal. Erin was right, like assess and improve. You do both. Assess and expand mental health awareness in Web3. Because you're trying to do both things. First, understand, and second, try to make an improvement.
Like that?
Yeah. Sounds like what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Access and yeah, because we want, and I was talking to Aloysius about it a couple weeks ago. We want to create a tool where people are able to like put their feelings and like write down what are they feeling in the day and check like, oh, today I'm feeling good or today I'm feeling stressed. Oh, today I have like this call and I feel really anxious. I have to lead this call, or I have this thing on top of my mind and I need to figure out how to deal with it. And to create this tool for mental health awareness, so people have contact with themselves through an app or through like a website or something like that. So after we have like more like data on how the community respond to the survey, and how they feel about asking for help, and how do they feel to talk to somebody that they know it's like safe and it's a safe place. They can talk about anything. I think we even wrote it down here somewhere. Oh, here. So allow people to see their own patterns and movement. Allow people to engage with it and interact. And if they're holding to something, so if they're holding to an idea or holding to a feeling, if like I'm mad to allow issues of something and like I wrote it down, and they have like this data of like, oh my gosh, I'm holding to this for like a week or 2 weeks. So I need to figure this out. So we want to create a tool after this survey to help our community to do better with these patterns and to do better with their emotional, and to also be able to ask for help when they feel like they need to talk to somebody.
Bianca, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can we humor my autism and go on a rabbit hole with an idea that's like squiggling around in my brain from what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Imagining like a high level of self-awareness. I was just imagining conflict and when I deconstruct things for myself and how I reflect. And it started to make me like imagine little like, those charts where it says do this, yes, do this, no, or like, how they go like, if it's this, go here, if it's this, go here.
Mm-hmm.
Those things, I started visualizing myself unpacking something in the day, and I'm like, okay, so like what happens in a internet space or something, maybe I have conflict, and it's like maybe there's a way to be like, did this involve like, does what you're feeling involve like another person? And then like, is there like, a gender, like, how there's all these power systems that cause people to see perceived harm, like sometimes it's relevant and sometimes it's just power systems out there in the world that we think are harming us in the present when that's not the context. Does any
Okay.
of this make sense? I feel like I'm all over the place. I'm just imagining something that asks people a series of questions about the power dynamics that they're experiencing throughout their day, or not just power dynamics, but isms and all the mabobs. Like if there was something to filter through those and kind of like, I don't know, see that, I feel like it would bring more of a spectrum, like just how you said with withholdings. Oh, I see that I've had this pattern for a week. Well, that's a withholding about not communicating with a person, but why are you not communicating with that person? Was there a conversation? Was there like a business thing? Like I feel like, yeah, there's something there that I'm like, that's it. It's all jarble, but that's what I was thinking about.
Okay. So like you say to go like through.
I'm being autistic and brainstorming. I'm like seeing images in my head and having like these visualizations of like how to build systems. Yeah, based on patterns. But yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to like, we don't have to like problem solve or create anything now. I'm just like sharing these things as they're like forming. That's kind of how like bots happen when I'm creating them.
Uh-huh. I'm trying to follow up with you.
Just imagining those choose your own adventures, like
Mhm.
the choose your own adventure books, how it was nice. It's nice to like choose which way you want to go, especially with healing, having choice in the matter. There's something about that that's empowering,
Yeah.
and allows you to self-actualize more. When someone tells you something, it's sort of like leading someone to a conclusion. This is an interesting psychological thing you can do in conversations. When you're trying to get somebody to believe something, you give them all the evidence of the thing, but you let them come to their own conclusion. You don't tell them your conclusion because it'll make it, then they have to counter whether or not they believe you. But if they come to the conclusion on their own, they're more liable to believe it. It's also less manipulative.
Yeah, that's when I feel that the psychotherapy comes.
Mm-hmm. Right. And how much of and how much of that psychotherapy is actually like speaking to another human or people learning how to deal and process emotions because we like didn't learn that.
So yeah. It depends on so many factors. If like you're willing to be in a therapy and if you're like really listening and if also you got a connection because going to a therapy it's like trying a lot of different shoes and a lot of them are not going to be comfortable until you try one that feels really good. So finding a good therapist that fits your personality and your needs is not easy. So
Is the end goal to get a person to a therapist or provide people with resources to include a therapist? Because I'm imagining a little bit of this can be DIY, and a lot of people might like it that way.
I don't think I fully understand. Sorry, it's my lack of English right now.
No, that's okay. Keep asking if you don't understand. It's a two-way street. I'm learning to communicate too. Yeah, like you're talking about like, people finding a therapist, the right therapist. Like,
Mhm.
is that the sole solution in your opinion? Because that's, in my opinion, it's not. And I'm
Yeah,
confused
no,
because I
it's
think it's
not.
like, lead them to therapy. And I'm like, yeah, lead them to therapy, but it doesn't have to be a person. And therapy can be like found and discovered, and we can help people find it. We can take the information we know and put it out there, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's when like the other professional from other fields come into. Like Durgadas has like a lot of this yoga and things and like you also have like all like your knowledge and information about trauma and and Morgan has like all these amazing things about community and Irene she also works with trauma. So it's like it's a field that involves a lot of different professionals. Like mental
Mhm.
health, it's not about just psychologists. We are one of the like million fields that involves mental health. So
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around the expectations. Like we lead people to water and then who's there, I guess is kind of what I'm thinking. And are we aiming to pull in a bunch of healers from a bunch of modalities and then these are the people that people can like visit throughout the ecosystem? Is this the end goal? I mean, I imagine it could be, but right?
I mean, it depends on who wants to collaborate and who wants
Where
to be involved.
What do
And
you see yourself doing if you were doing exactly what you wanted to be doing in this ecosystem, not just setting things up and preparing them? Like, how do you see yourself fully utilizing your gifts in this space? What would be dreamy to you?
mhm. So I see myself like open up like my DM and creating safe space to people so they could feel welcome to come to me and talk to me about their needs, and they feel safe, and they know that like anything that they talk to me, it's just gonna be between me and them, so it's not gonna go anywhere, and they can feel safe, and that's their space, and it's about them, and they
Mhm.
can do whatever they want with their time, with that time,
Mhm. Yeah,
and we can talk about anything.
that resonates. I feel like I feel like it would be really good idea for us to get a thread. I don't not literal thread, but just like something going with each of the people who wants to be a person like that, and sort of like, yeah, getting an idea, just like hearing what your dream is, and kind of everyone else and how they want to like have their dream in this space, and then we'll see what our actual resources are, and then we can like kind of build like what we can offer off of that. I feel like that would give us like a good reference point to see what all disciplines, we could like map out and see what all's like present.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Because um like the other day, um like Anna made it sound that was just like psychologist, and I am opposed to that. I was like, no, I don't see that way. I don't think that way. It's like it's just what I study and what I decided to study. But I know that there are like a lot of people that even didn't go for any college or anything like that, that they do so much more, and they have like all this knowledge on like working with people and dealing with people and like embracing.
Yeah,
That's just like pure love.
yeah, yeah.
And
You're
they,
right. The degree is just the thing you have to get to do the stuff you actually want. It's the accreditation to be established to do what it is you really want, which probably isn't necessarily always what the degree says, right?
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So
That's a good point.
I just say the psychology because that's where I came from.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm like more related to. But I also see and I study and I experienced that there are all these other fields. They are welcome. And I want them to feel welcome too, even to this research, because I know it's important. And I can learn with them also. And I feel that like maybe we can share experience.
I'm curious if anyone else has anything stewing in their brains. I feel like we've been talking back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but like this thing is like firing a lot of ideas in my mind. So the first was like to go back to what you said, Aloysius, or at least what I understood. It's like that besides providing some sort of like, let's say, a professional, like the tool that at the end it directs people to someone to speak with, but another option could be like having some path of self-discovery with some, like as you said, like something like adventures or
Yeah.
some tracks where that are maybe already designed by us, self-discovery tracks, like if someone wants to go his own way. That's the first. The second is we are taking care. I was thinking because we are focusing on mental health. Uh, I'm asking myself if we should focus on well-being in general. I know that the research now is only about psychology and mental health, but like I believe that the person you need to take care of the person as a whole, like because
Mhm.
the mind is in the body also, and in the future maybe it would be good to expand the research field. And the other thing that I wrote with Bianca also is that if we start providing this kind of service, like we need to think about there's something lacking in Web3, which is welfare system, because okay, we can provide a service, but one, we are a finite number and we don't have infinite time. So resources have to be found, and how, and this opens up another field of discussion, which to me would be really interesting to get in, because the first thing that I noticed about Web3 is the total lack of a welfare system. Like, for example, in Aragon, they want to implement these tool, as I said last time, that it wants to do a real-time tracking of the health, probably mental health, the health of the community, including mental health. But like, what happens if like somebody it comes out that somebody is in a burnout risk condition, or maybe is already burnout and he doesn't know what's gonna happen? We just tell them, hey, take a holiday and that's it, or like these are other, because there's no like it's great that there's an enormous amount of freedom, but everything is left to the person. And I know, especially in Aragon, that there are people that are working more than 60 hours a week.
Yeah, that's a community that's got a lot of conflict and has for a long time, well before we started working with them, like Token Engineering Commons and even projects that I'm in.
Yeah, that's something that, like, if we can create a tool, or I don't know how this tool will come as, or like an app, or I don't know, that people can track like the amount of hours that they're working and like how many time they're putting to their family, because it's something important. And sometimes I just feel that like a lot of people in this space, they just like they need to put all the work that they have in the free time in a computer, and it's
Yep.
like constantly working. And that's
I feel
something.
like there's a privacy layer here. You know, when we're talking about tracking, there was something that I was hearing a little bit ago that really made me think of like how much conflict is in that community and the ways I've observed surveillance and people being kicked out of the community. I'm thinking about privacy, and I'm thinking about what things people get to track and what things the organization gets to track. And I don't think the organization gets to track some of this data that people are personally holding. I feel like there's, yeah, just I'm gonna sit with that for a little while. I don't want to run into like people policing people around their well-being. And I love this angle of well-being too, because there's this thing we do with hierarchies and ego being human and the ways we are taught that there's something about how people think that they have like their brain just dominates everything, that like, you know, we talk about mental health, and I was kind of feeling this was, yeah, well-being. Like I track that my well-being comes from not just my brain, but my nervous system regulation and my gut biome. Like that's what all those are like my three brains that are really present, and they all sense my environment and do things. It's not just the brain doing stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all, this has been like rich. Holy cow.
I can't agree more. I just finished reading a book about the gut health related to the mental health, and I went also to a few conferences here of gastroenterologists. I heard a gastroenterologist saying that 1/3 of the students in at school who are diagnosed with ADHD actually have a gluten intolerance, but they don't know
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yep. One
And they
third.
give
They know
them,
that? That's crazy. I say that over 60% of the population is on the spectrum and it's growing because it's genetic and we don't talk about it. But that is really cool data. That makes me happy. Not that that exists, but that I'm like hearing that because it just like, yeah, boy.
Erin, how are you receiving all that? I'm curious to know from the psychological organization perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely into personally like everything that's being talked about right now. From a research perspective, I feel like more specific studies usually can get easier support, or just be kind of easier to spread out, and get research done on it when it's a bit more narrow focused. I very much personally support the idea of like I did my thesis on the gut brain axis related to the microbiome and specific conditions. So like I'm into all of this stuff that's being talked about. But for kind of the purpose of the research, one question that's popping up into my mind is it getting too broad for this first iteration? And maybe the purpose of it is have a more general well-being understanding within this space, in which case it could be perfectly aligned. But it kind of just seems like it might be veering off from where the beginning of the conversation started at, which can lead to fantastic things as well. But that's just one thing I'm observing right now.
Yeah, I think the idea is to start in here, but also to try to get into other DAOs too and see like how people are feeling in general and not just limit the survey to TEC.
I think Erin was talking about saying that what we discussed now, like we went too far from what we started with, but like we were expanding the field too much.
Mm.
But I guess we were just speculating, like coming up with ideas, like what this research makes us think. But I agree with the fact that at the beginning, at least we might better focus on a narrower field, and then amplify it.
Sounds like the research is perhaps a survey and going into communities, but also there's this element of like we're building something here, and having an idea of it helps us, I don't know, move towards a common goal or have an idea of what everyone's kind of interests are so that we don't like wander off, sort of. I feel like I got a lot of clarity from this conversation about what is like short-term and kind of long-term goals from what we all like talked through. Not just for this research, but because this research is like the start of something.
Yep.
I could be wrong. That was my take.
No, I had the same feeling, and I like the idea to start a thread when everyone can contribute and write about what's their dream toward, like related to this research and what we're trying to build here. And also another question: do we have like deadlines? Like, do we know? Well, like, did we give ourselves deadlines? Like, do we know when this we suppose or we think this survey will be ready? Or
Yeah, so the deadline is to have the survey ready to be applied next month.
by the end of next month or by the beginning?
No, it's just like next month. It
Okay.
was actually this month, have the survey to be ready to be applied in May. But we are like in the last week really of May. And that's why but we are like 2 minutes from finishing the call. And I got this questions from the telehealth survey to have an idea of the questions that we could build. But we are like in the last minute. We can keep talking about this offline. I'm gonna share this document again in the gravity chat. And another topic is I was talking to Angie Barry, and we were thinking about having an event on this Friday at 8 a.m. CST to talk about mental health and take care of your mind. And this is the doc. And just because this is the month of mental health awareness, and just to have like an open talk about how we've been taking care of our mental health and maybe share tips that could help us improve our mental health, just like an open talk, so we don't let it pass this important topic this month.
Personally, I'm all in for that. So I think it's a good idea.